this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a necklace, bracelet, and earring set in both color mixes of the new Pastel Passion Treasure Bags. So as most everyone knows, there is a color mix 1 and a color mix 2. This is color mix 2, this is color mix 1. They're exactly the same components, just in different colors, and we are going to make an entire set here. So we've got some little earrings, bracelet, and a necklace, and they just turn out really cute. I just love the lightheartedness, whimsicalness about them, and I just made up a whole bunch of words there in that sentence. Oh well. Anyway, this is what we're going to be making. I still have some color mix 2 treasure bags left. So if you would like to get a treasure bag, go ahead and go to ggctreasures.com and you can grab a treasure bag. I'm so sorry, I cannot speak today. Anyway, so let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make these particular projects and get started. Okay, so today we're going to make a set with necklace, bracelet, and earrings with the newest treasure bag. Now, I have used, there's 2 color selections in the Pastel Passion line. I have made my design with color mix 1 so you can see exactly what it looks like. And I'm going to show you how to make the exact same design with color mix 2. The only difference in any of this is the color of the beads. So this is what it looks like in color mix 1. So I'm going to show you what we're all going to use, but in color mix 1 you're going to have white barrel beads, and you're going to have pink bigger flowers and white smaller flowers in your charms. So let's go through exactly what it's going to take to make this. This turns out really cute, and let's look at this. So in color mix 2 you have 5 white charms, white flower charms, and you have 5 small pink charms. I think in my reveal I said there's 6, but there are 5 of each. So you will have pink little ones and white big ones. In your color mix 1 you'll have pink big ones and white little flowers like this. Then we are going to use the barrel beads, and you have 10 of them, and in color mix 1 they're white, in color mix 2 they're yellow. Then you have in both bags these strands of abacus or whatever you want to call them, shaped beads. And in color mix 2 you have this one that has just a slight bit of yellow in it, and in color mix 1 it has just a slight bit of green in it. So they're pretty much the same, but for color mix 2 we're going to use this one, for color mix 1 we're going to use this one, and then you're going to have the same from this point out in both bags. So you're going to need some of the chain that came in your bag. So you have this golden, it's cable chain, but it's flattened ovals. You're going to use some of this, and you're going to use 2 lobster claw clasps, 2 ear wires, which I have added to my mix here from my own stash. And then you're going to need also added to it, I'm going to use some 8/0 seed beads, and these are Toho galvanized permanent finish starlight, and you can use any spacer beads you want. And then I'm going to use some size 2 Belon crimp tubes. I'm going to be using some eye pins and some head pins. Now I have short eye pins to do my individual units with, and for the bigger beads I have 4 longer eye pins. Now you can use all long ones and just cut them down to what you need, but I have these little short ones that are probably about 3/4 of an inch, and then this is probably about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to be using those. Then I have just a little variety of jump rings, and I have 1 very small one, 2 about 6mm, and a few 8mm. And as we design this, we'll decide exactly what sizes we need for where. You can use all the same size. It doesn't have to be varied. That's fine also. And That's pretty much it. So you're going to need some flat nose pliers, some chain nose pliers, some round nose pliers, and some wire cutters for this. We're also going to be using some bead stringing wire. I'm using this Bead 49. It's unraveling here, and it is the satin gold, just because it's going to match better with everything. You can use whatever beading wire you like. These beads will accommodate most any size and any type. This is what I am going to be using today. So let's go ahead and get started with this project. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make little hangers for our charms. So you can see I've made this little hanger for the charm, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And we're going to make 10 of them because we're going to put them on all 5 of the bigger charms and all 5 of the smaller charms. So I'm going to show you really quick how to make this particular hanger. So you've got an eye pin, and my eye pin is about 1/2 inch long, so you may want to cut yours to 1/2 inch, and maybe even a little less than 1/2 inch, because I'm going to cut this down just a little bit. And this is what I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm going to hold it in my plier at the very tip here, and I have got my loop vertical like this, and the loop closes on the top here towards me. So I'm going to roll away from me. So I'm going to start to roll. I'm going to roll as far as I can. I'm going to take my plier out. I'm going to make sure I stay at about the same place on my plier the whole way, and I am also going to hold towards the very tip of that wire so that it rolls correctly. Now you want to make sure you start to roll and put wire right next to the roll that you first did. So in other words, you don't want your wire to roll on top of itself. You want it to roll separate, and just keep rolling it all the way back until you get basically to your loop. Now I just opened my loop a little. So what I can do now that I've rolled it back is I can close this loop. You might distort it a little, that's okay. You can straighten it out. So this is basically what you end up with. So you've got your loop that opens towards the front, and then you've got a roll towards the back. You may end up with a little extra like sticky outy on it. So you want to just kind of squish that in so that it doesn't poke anything. And this is what it should look like. So you've rolled away from the opening of the original loop on the head pin, and this is what you have. Then this way, it's not going to fall off your wire. You've got a double loop there, and it's going to stay on your wire when we string this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open this portion of the original part of the head pin. Just open it. And like I said, if you distort it a little bit, you can just straighten it out with your pliers. And then you just put your your charm on the eye pin loop towards the front of the loop, towards the opening. Make sure the front of your flower is towards the opening of that loop. And this is what you've got. So you've got a nice little hanger bail on your flower. And let me get you in real close so you can see it. And let's do one more, and then we're going to do all of them off camera. So I've got my eye pin. I'm going to cut it down just a little bit, and I mean I'm talking maybe 2 millimeters. And then I'm going to place my plier at the very end of that wire, making sure that the opening of my eye pin is up towards me. So this is where it opens, it's up towards me, and then I'm going to start to roll backwards. So when I roll as far as I can, I'm going to take my pliers out, I'm going to turn them over, put them back in, grab the very edge of that wire, and just start to turn, making sure that I turn it next to the first loop I make, and just keep turning. So I make a nice coil. And I'm going to turn all the way until I get right about where the opening of that eye pin is. Now you can see it's a little bent, so I'm just going to straighten out the front here like this, and now it's nice and neat. And then I'm just going to squeeze down anything that's sticking up on the coil I made. And this one actually is not bad. I don't really even have to squeeze it down. So this is what it looks like. And then I'm going to open the loop on the eye pin, and I'm going to make sure the front of my charm is towards that opening, and then I'm just going to close it. Okay, so you are going to make all of your charms with a little hanger bail like this. So we're going to do all of those, and then we're going to cut 2 pieces 4 3/4 inches long of chain. So you want to cut 2 of those pieces. You're going to cut 1 piece of wire, and I think I'm going to cut it about 12 inches long just to make sure I have enough. That's probably excessive, but that's what I'm going to cut. So I've got 12 inches of my bead stringing wire ready. And then I am going to make some components with a little bit longer eye pin. So this eye pin is about 1.25 inches long, and it's bent, but I'm going to use a little bit longer eye pin. And my barrel beads, I'm going to pick up 1 8/0 seed bead, and then I'm going to put on my barrel bead and pick up the other 8/0 seed bead, and then I'm going to hold it in my hand so that I can keep everything secure like this. And then I'm just going to take my flat nose pliers. Right above that seed bead, I'm going to bend the wire completely back. I'm going to cut it down just probably about 3 millimeters, and then I am going to grab my pliers. While I'm holding this in my hand steady, I have it over my finger. I'm going to start to turn a loop, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go right about here on my pliers and turn as far as you can, turn over your plier, and then continue to roll. Now you can see my loop is all off center here. I'm going to grab the opposite side, so this is where it opens. I'm going to grab the opposite side right by the bead, and I'm just going to bring it back, and now it's centered. Then you just want to make sure that both sides are nice and neat, so you can grab 2 pairs of pliers, and you can straighten them out if they're a little curvy or opposite directions or whatever. And this is what you have. You are going to make 4 of your barrel beads on this component here. So 4 barrel beads like this, all of your charms with the little bail, and 2 pieces of chain cut at 4 3/4 inches unless you want a longer necklace. My necklace is going to be around 18.5 inches long because I want this to go up higher on my collar. If you are a smaller person, then you'll want your necklace to be around 16 to 17 inches, so you'll cut a little less chain. But my chain is 4 3/4 inches long. And then once you've done all those things and cut your piece of wire, we will come back and we will put the necklace together. Then we'll put the bracelet together. These components will be for the bracelet. And then we will put together a pair of earrings. So go ahead and prepare all of your charms and 4 of your barrel beads, and we will be back. Okay, so as you can see, I have made all of my components for my charms and for my barrel beads here, and I'm going to set this aside. We're going to make one more component. We're going to make 8 of our little abacus or abacus or whatever these beads are called. I'm going to call them rondelle, okay? We're going to make 8 single looped units like this for our bracelet also. So what we're doing is just preparing all of the components that we need so we can just put our pieces together. So I'm going to show you how to make this component, and then we're going to go off camera and make 8 of them. So all you need is the 1/2 inch eye pin, and of course you can cut it down to a 1/2 inch, or you can just cut it down as you're making it if you have a long eye pin. So what I've done is I've just slid one of my beads onto the eye pin. I'm just going to hold onto the bead and the bottom of the eye pin. I'm going to bend, just go slightly above that bead so I have some room, and I'm going to bend this straight over, just like this. Then I'm just going to place it in my hand where the long part is over my finger, and I'm just going to cut it down just a little bit so that I have a little bit smaller loop. And so I'm going to cut this down a little. Then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm going to place it at the very end of the wire, making sure it's flush with the back of my plier, and I'm going to start to turn. I'm going to turn as far as I can. I'm going to take my plier out. I'm going to turn my plier over. I am going to grab at the very edge of that loop I started so that it's flush with the plier again, and I'm going to continue to turn. And I'm just going to turn all the way until I close my loop, just like this. Now, my loops might be a little uneven or twisted or something, so I can just grab them with both of my pliers, straighten them out, and there you have it. So go ahead and make 8 of those with your abacus beads, whatever, and we'll be back. Okay, so now we have made all of our components, and I actually want you to make 10 of these single bead looped components because you will need 2 for the earrings. So what we're going to do is we're going to set aside all 10 of the single looped components. We're going to set aside 2 of the bigger flowers and 3 of the little flowers, and all of the barrel beads that you made the 4 into components. We're going to set those aside. Now we're going to make our necklace first. You're going to need 3 of the bigger flowers, 2 of the smaller flowers that are prepared, and then we are going to need about 12, I believe, of our abacus beads, and we're going to need the rest of our barrel beads, so you should have 6. How we're going to start this: I have my 12 inches of wire here. I am going to start by sliding on one of my bigger flowers, and I'm just going to slide it, of course, with the flower facing me, down onto the center of my piece of wire, and just center it somewhat. It's not going to stay perfect, but we can continue to center it as we work. Then we're going to use some 8/0 seed beads also. We're going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead on either side of the wire here. So on both sides, pick up an 8/0 so that there is an 8/0 on either side of your flower. Then we're going to pick up a barrel bead and put it on one side, pick up another one, put it on the other side, and we can just work from the center out doing this. So then we're going to pick up 2 of our 8/0 seed beads, and that's an 11/0. I don't know why that's there. So we're going to pick up 2 of them. Then we're going to pick up 2 of our, I'm going to call them rondelles because I don't know how to say that word. So I'm just going to pick up 2 rondelles. And when I picked out my rondelles for my necklace, I just made sure I picked out some with yellow in it, the more yellowish beads, so that it blended better. And then I'm going to pick up 2 8/0s. I'm going to just do one side so we can do the other side off camera. So once I've picked up the 2 rondelles, then I'm going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, and then I'm going to put one of my small flowers on, and then an 8/0, and then another 8/0. So let me see. No, not another 8/0. 2 of these now. Duh, I can't do this. Okay, 2 of these, and then 2 8/0s. And then I'm going to put on a barrel, an 8/0, and one of my bigger flowers. And then an 8/0, and another barrel bead, then 2 8/0s, and 2 of my rondelles. Yeah, let's get a little different color there. There we go. And that is one side. I'll put one more 8/0. So I will zoom in so you can see exactly what I've got. And I'm going to clip off this side. I'll just find one of my little clips and clip it off. And do the other side exactly the same way. And get you in close so you can look at it. And go ahead and string this side, and then I'm going to string this side and we'll come back. Okay, so now I have strung both sides and this is what it looks like. Just check and make sure both sides are exactly symmetrical so that you know you didn't miss a bead or anything. Put the 2 ends of your wire together and scoot everything down to make sure it's centered. Then we are going to, let me do that again since I just goofed it up. And then I'm going to just clip off this side. And I'm going to grab this side and I'm going to put on a crimp tube. Then I'm going to grab my piece of chain that I cut 4 3/4 inches long. And of course you can make this longer if you want it bigger. You can make it shorter if you want it shorter. This is what's going to determine your length here. So you can adjust it, and you're just going to take your wire, come on Gina, jeez Louise, and put the very last link of your chain on the beading wire, just like that. And then you're going to hold onto your beads, just kind of scoot them all down so that they're nice and flush together, and we are going to put the end of the wire into the crimp tube. And I'm going to go into the first 8/0 seed bead and the first 2 rondelles. And once I get that in there, then I am going to grab my chain nose pliers and hold on to that excess wire. I'm going to find the side that does not move on my loop. So this side is stable, the other side moves, and I'm just going to hold on to it, and then I'm going to pull this down all the way until I have absolutely no movement, no excess wire, no anything up here, and I am going to pull this through the beads, have it nice and flush, and then I'm going to cut as close as I can to these beads with my flush cutters. Then I am going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to push my crimp tube down just a little bit to give a little bit of slack, a little bit of a loop here between the chain and the crimp beads so that I have some movement in my chain. Just a little loop like this. And then I'm going to grab my crimping tool, which I forgot to tell you you'll need 2, but of course you will need a crimping tool. And I'm going to place it on that crimp tube, imagining where the 2 wires are, the center of the 2 wires going down into that crimp tube, and then I'm just going to squeeze. Now I have a nice little crimp. I'm going to turn it to the side. I'm going to go into the first divot, so that was the second divot on my crimping tool. I'm going to go into the first divot. I'm placing that crimp tube in there sideways, and I'm going to squeeze. Now I am going to grab the other side of my necklace, take the clip off, and I'm going to push it down to make sure everything's nice and tight and flush. And so where you cut your wire should have gone up into the bead when you pulled your little crimp tube down to give you a loop up here. So everything's hidden, everything's nice and secure. Now we're going to go to this side and we're going to put a crimp tube on, drop it down, and then we're going to grab our other length of chain, put it through, and then we're going to go back into the crimp tube and the 8/0 and the 2 rondelles. Grab a hold of that excess piece that's coming through your rondelles. Find the stable side of your loop, hold on to it until you can't hold on to it anymore. Then hold on to the beads and pull this down as tight as you can get it. Just like this. Grab your crimping or your flush cutters and get as close to that bead as you can. Pull on your wire and cut that down. Then adjust by pushing down on your crimp tube just a little until you have a little bit of a loop there, just like that. And just kind of make sure it's the same size as your other loop. And then again, in your second divot of your crimping tool, put that crimping bead in it and squeeze, just like this. Now we're going to turn it sideways and crimp it again in the first divot. And now we have two very nice crimps. You cannot see any excess wire. It isn't pushing our beads funny or anything like that. And we have our necklace pretty much made. We just have to put the ends on. So I am going to grab my lobster claw clasp, one of them. You should have two out. And of course, I don't know, there it is. Okay. And I'm going to grab a small jump ring. So this one is about 4 millimeters probably. And I'm just going to open it. So I'll place my plier on one side of the opening. Come here. And then I'll grab my flat nose and place it on the other side and just crank it open like that. Grab my lobster claw, but first I think I'll put it on the end of the chain and then I'll put my lobster claw on. So I'm going to grab the last loop here and then my lobster claw and then I'm going to close this jump ring by just twisting it back. Just like we opened it, just twist it the opposite direction and close it. Make sure it's closed nice and flush. And then I'm going to grab, I think I want about, maybe I'll use an 8 millimeter. That's a little big, but it's what I've got out. So I'm just going to go ahead and use, yes. I'll get a different one if I don't like it, but I'm going to use a bigger jump ring for the end so it's easier to clasp. And I'm just opening it the same way. I just cranked it open. I didn't use my pliers, but just crank it open and put it on your last link here. And then close it. And now I have a necklace. Okay, you behave. All right. And I put on the other one I designed and it turned out really cute. It hangs just right. Let me show you the one with the other color mix so that you can see them together. And then we'll go for the bracelet. So get up there. So this is color mix 2, this is color mix 1, and there's still a bunch of color mix 2 left. If you would like to order a bag and make one of these, you can do that. And that's what the two necklaces look like, and they're really, really cute. Now let's move on to the bracelet. So this is color mix 1, and what I seem to have forgotten when I was making my components is that as an afterthought, I decided I wanted to put the two leftovers back to back here so that when you put your bracelet on, which way it flops, you will have a pretty side. And the back of these are cute too, so if you see the golden side, that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these bails that we made off of the flower here. So I'm just going to open it, take it off, and then I'm going to grab the other one. Come here. And I am going to open it, and I'm going to place this one on so that they're back to back like this. So you will have two of your flowers back to back on one bail, just like this. Now, if you need to take one off and flip them around, whatever, just slide them both on the same bail, just like this. And then we are going to start to connect our components together. So I'm going to look at this one because, you know, my memory isn't that fabulous. So what we're going to do is we are going to need one about a 6mm round jump ring is what we're going to use in the middle here. So we're going to first place both of these little flowers that we put together on the jump ring. So just crank it open, slide it on the loop of the bail here, like this, and then we're going to close this jump ring. Actually, leave it open. Don't close it. Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and put one of our single components on either side of this. So I'm going to grab it like this, drop them on, and I don't really need to worry about it doing it on either side because I can push one over. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just going to put two of my single components on the jump ring, and then I'm going to close my jump ring. Then I can split these so that there's one on either side like that. And then I'm going to connect, I'll do one side and then we can do the other. So I'm going to connect two of my single components. I have one on there. I'm going to put another one on. So I'm just opening the component I made, just like this, and I'm going to slide it on to this component. And then I'm just going to close that component. Lay it back out. Then I'm going to grab one of my barrel bead components. I'm going to open it. Just find the side that opens on your component. Crank it open. And slide it onto the single component you just put on. And close it. Then we're going to do one component, the single component. I'm going to open it, slide it onto my barrel bead, and then close it. Straighten it out. And then I have one barrel bead. Now, this is going to be about a little over 7-inch bracelet, so you can reduce the amount of the single units you use. If you want to make it shorter, you can just put, instead of 2 in the front here, you can just put 1, or on the end, you can just connect to your barrel bead, which I will show you to make it shorter. So just rearrange your components to make it shorter, make a couple more components to make it longer. Now I'm going to put my barrel bead on this one. And then I'm going to do one more single component. And like I said, if you want it shorter, you can leave off this last single component and just attach your clasping to the barrel bead. So I'm going to open this one, grab another single, and maybe I want a little bit darker color. Put it on there, close it, and this is what that looks like. Now go ahead and do the other side exactly the same way. Regardless if you have changed the amount of components you use, you can make it shorter or longer. Just make sure both sides are exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this side, and then we'll come back and put the clasping on. Okay, so as you can see, I have done both sides. And now I'm going to put my clasping on. And I'm just going to put my lobster claw directly onto this last loop on my component. So I'm going to find the side that opens, open it up, just like that. And then I'm going to grab my lobster claw and put it on. and then close that loop. And of course you can add a couple jump rings if you want some more length too. You can do it that way. Then or a bigger jump ring on the other side to attach it to. So what I'm going to do with this side is I'm going to grab one of my little flowers and I'm going to open a jump ring and I'm going to put the flower on it. And I'm going to slide it onto this last loop here on my last component and close this jump ring. And now I have a cute little bracelet, and I'll put it on in the end so you can see what it looks like. But right now I want you to just see what both look like. And it's kind of cute when these little flowers slide apart. You can see the gold on one side or whatever. So that way when it flips up on your hand or it moves around, you will have a pretty one on both sides. So we've got there, or you'll see the color on both sides. Those turned out really cute, I think. And there, that's looking really nice. I really like the boldness of the colors in this one, and I like the gentleness of the colors, and I like them both. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make a really simple pair of earrings. So let me put these aside. You should have 2 components made, and I saved 2 that were pretty similar. So in color, they're kind of light. I should have made maybe a little bit more colorful one, but that's okay. And then I'm going to use 2 of my little flowers and 2 ear wires, and I'm just going to open one of the loops on the components and slide the bail onto that loop on my flower here, just like this. And then I'm going to close this loop. Then I am going to open the loop, or I think I'll do it on the ear wire. I'm going to open the ear wire here, make sure I have my component forward. Come on, straighten out. And drop it on this way so that it's the right way. And I'll show you how I'm holding the ear wire, like this. So now I have an earring. And go ahead and make your other one. We'll come back, I'll show you the set all together, and I'll put one of the bracelets on. Okay, so here they are. Here's the bracelet for the yellow set. I thought I should probably show you what it looks like. And here's the clasping with the little dangle, really cute. It's just really a cute little bracelet. I could have made mine maybe even a little bit smaller. So I could have used a larger jump ring here and maybe just one of the single components in the middle on either side and made it a little bit shorter for me. But however you arrange it, doesn't matter. Turns out really cute, looks really adorable. These little charms are really cute floating around too. And because you have them back to back, you will always see one of the pretty color, and the gold is pretty too. So I think that works out really well. There's my little charm on the back. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I wanted to get something out there kind of quickly, so as you're getting your bags, you can start to make your tutorials. And here's the... And this is a very simple, very quick project that you could put together and start to enjoy your bags. Remember, there are still some more of the yellow bags left, color mix 2. If you would like to get one, go to ggctreasures.com and grab a bag. There will be a lot more tutorials. There's a lot of beads in these bags, and we'll have a lot of fun. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.